Hey guys, I am here at Trigono Hills Park. This is a new park up by where I live, and it's really cool because it is next to some exposed rock faces on this hill. And we'll just turn this around here. You can see all these cool rock formations, and if you look, you can see that the hills are layered. And if you look around, you can see some layers kind of blend in with others. But then there's this light layer over here. And that's where I'm going to head to, because there is something really cool going on over by that white rock layer. So let's head on over there. Here's a great sign here. You know you're in a great place when someone has put out a sign warning you to proceed at your own risk. Let's take a little detour here, take a little closer look at this lovely desert marigold. It's a single flower blooming, but you can see there are a lot more that are about to open up here pretty soon. Great for pollinators like monarch butterflies. Even better sign, closed to all motor vehicle use. Let's take another detour here, take a look. These are some pretty little flowers. This is a pepper bush. Very cool. Turns out Red Rock Canyon is not just in that area that you have to pay to get into off of Charleston, but you can actually access it. It encompasses a wide area, and this is the outer boundary of Red Rock Canyon. Got some graffiti. This would be a great place for a service project. Clean that up. This is a natural wash here. You can see for years now, years and years, this area gets eroded as water washes down, brings gravel along with it. You can see over here this kind of exposed face where all of this alluvium has been carved out by water rushing through. Great place for birds. A lot of times even desert tortoises will dig into these exposed faces. A lot of swallows are going to hang out in here. You can really see where these rocks just get piled up and moved around and then exposed when it floods. You can see some of these rocks have some discoloration. All right. Ooh, and here is a bee. Very cool. All right. Get back on the trail. So this is dominated by a lot of different plants. One of them is this. It's creosote bush. Extremely adaptable. Creosote lives all over in the southern Nevada deserts. It's a survivor. And there are scientists who have explored an area in Southern California with creosote bushes that they think are over 5,000 years old. They employ an asexual reproductive strategy, so they clone themselves. And some scientists have explored an area which they call the king creosote that they've got good evidence has been cloning itself in a crown, they call it, for thousands of years. Here's something interesting. You can see there's something about to flower here. Not a desert marigold. We got one up here that has opened up. This is a Mojave aster. It's a pretty little plant. Beautiful light purple petals. Monarchs and other pollinators love these, and we've talked about them before. They are part of the monarch ecosystem. All right, so we're getting closer to the mountainside, and you can really see these layers. You gotta ask yourself, what do you think caused these layers of earth to get exposed like this? What's pushing them up out of the ground where they've been buried for millions of years? Why aren't they still underground? Why isn't this flat? What pushed this up out of the flat desert? Right? Good questions. Let's keep heading over. It's just around the corner. Another pretty little Mojave aster. It's hard to pass these up when you see one. And you don't see them all year. They're gonna bloom for the next couple of months. But by June, July, when it's hot outside, they are gonna go to seed. And then we won't see them again until this time next year. Nice little outcropping there. People come out here to do rock climbing, interestingly. They'll bring out their ropes and their other equipment, their specialized shoes, and climb up those rock faces. All right. We are getting close. We can see that lighter colored layer there. So we are just about where I want to be. All right, here we are. You can see there's this little canyon that's been carved down through here. You can see a great big rock down there. So this is an area where water has been able to carve out a way to go. And if we look up into the upper part of this canyon, it's not really a canyon, a little draw. We can see this is where I want to go. All right, here is a brittle bush, and you can see that it has flowers that are starting to poke out. Brittle bush is a great desert flower. You see them all over the place. It's very adaptable, and pollinators love them. In the next month or so, this is going to be covered in flowers and covered in bees and butterflies and other pollinators. All right, and here we have an example of desert globe mallow or apricot mallow. You can see it's this beautiful orange apricot colored flower, very pretty. A lot of people are really allergic to these stems. Brought it into the classroom one year. A bunch of kids broke out in rashes. Not going to bring that in the classroom again, so be careful if you go out and touch it. I don't have a problem with it, but you can see it leaves kind of this powdery dust on your fingers. Very cool flower. All right, here we are. This is the place I wanted to be. You wonder why does Mr. Gasca want to be here? Why is he so excited? This here used to be a coral reef, believe it or not. Here's an example of a coral fossil. All right, let's switch the view here. All right, that baby right there is a coral fossil. If you were to take a coral from a coral reef now and cut it in half, you would be able to see this radiating cross section. And that's not the only coral here. We scramble around in this sedimentary rock. We can see here's another coral cross section. And if we look around some more, we can see more corals. Here's a nice little outcropping here. You can see these are smaller corals that were growing in this layer. And if we look around some more, here's a cool impression of another coral. And this is kind of like a side view. And if you can imagine this rock sitting up like this was a coral. It looks like a coral. It was a coral millions of years ago. All right, they're all over in here. So if we walk around, we can see some more. They're different shapes. and different sizes. There are some rocks that are covered in them, and some rocks that don't have any at all. Here's another cool rock face, right? Cool formation. Again, corals. All right. Keep looking around in here. We'll find some more. Here's a nice little example of some corals, different sizes. So these are smaller corals here. And then some more corals up in here. Here's a nice cross section of a coral split in half. All right, you look around. We're all over. So here's a coral, there's a coral, and ooh, here's some beautiful ones here. You can see these corals everywhere through here, right? They were growing all over the place. This used to be a coral reef, right? So here's an example of another coral, okay? And it's been broken off into a small rock. But you can see that coral striation there. Pretty cool, right? There were corals out here. Ooh, look, here's another one. Ooh, yeah, oh yeah, look at this guy. Lovely corals popping up out of there. Oh, there's a big one up over in here. You can trace the outline of this coral all the way around this rock. Then you can see another coral that lived here, right? And some more stuff growing here. Right? This was a very different place millions of years ago. So let's see if we can see some more here. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's some coral, and then some more coral fossil. Kind of a faint outline, but you can still make it out. Right? These aren't just rocks. These are rocks that contain the fossilized remains of a coral reef. And we can still see them in the rocks. See, here's a great coral. You can see all the little tubules, right? Going up through here, right? Corals make great fossils because of the way their bodies are made. They accumulate large amounts of calcium and other minerals, so it doesn't take much for them to fossilize. So you might wonder, well, what about everything else that was living in here? There are lots of corals. Why don't I see other organisms? Well, there were certainly other organisms living in these corals, but they probably had softer bodies. They didn't have as many minerals that they had built up as the corals did. So it wasn't as easy for their bodies to fossilize. Let's see if we can find some more. Oh yeah, here's a nice little outcropping. I'm sure it'll have some corals. Oh yeah. Here's some good looking coral impressions here. Now this might actually be a bone for maybe a fish. Have to take a closer look at it, but it could just be a thick coral. Here's a great rock. Corals, very cool. I think I'll keep this one, bring it back to class. So yeah, you can see this is a smaller rock. Fits in the palm of my hand. But it is full of corals on both sides, right? This is a really densely populated coral reef up here in the northwest edge of Las Vegas. So what does that tell you? This place wasn't always a dry desert. It used to be covered by the ocean, right? Because corals don't grow in the desert. And these are definitely corals. So this land that we live on used to be home to corals growing in an ocean. So what happened? Why isn't there an ocean here anymore? What do you think? All right, just a few more corals, because this is so fun. Go check out these fossils. They tell a story, right? This is a really dry place, but it didn't used to be. It used to be a coral reef. So let's head back down. Again, I could spend a long time out here collecting rocks, looking at fossils. Here's one, right? Very cool. So someone left this behind. Let's throw it away. Seriously, when you go out hiking, throw your garbage out. If you could bring it in, you could bring it back out until you find a dumpster.